Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome to Muldoon's Diesel Performance. So as you know, Muldoon's takes care of all of our transmission work on our 48 that is in the race truck. We've had great success with the transmission. We had some converter issues when we first put the truck together, got through all that, but we've never actually had an issue with the trans itself. So John's had the trans after last winter. When I pulled it, I brought it down here for them to give it a good once over and check everything out. Everything was pretty good. Had a couple little wear spots here and there, but I asked them to just keep it apart for me till we made some decisions about some stuff. So that's kind of what the focus of this video is going to be about. We're going to upgrade some parts to some stuff that just came out this year, new to the diesel industry. Probably going to change some things. So we decided to make some upgrades since we're going so wild with the engine. Trying to hold 2,000 horsepower with the 48 RE is no small task. So that being said, before we get into like what we're doing and all that, I just want to put a little side note that with the level we're going to be running the truck at, the transmission really becomes like a wear item. We're going to go through clutches and stuff like that way quicker, more than likely we're going to go through stuff that normal people don't go through for thousands and thousands of miles. You know, 2,000 horsepower is more than a 48 RE case was ever designed to handle. So I just want to put that out there. If we have transmission issues in the future, it's not the quality of the Muldoon's product, it's the fact that we're trying to put 2,000 horsepower through a transmission that the gas guys will only ever build to 800 or 1,000 horsepower. So anyway guys, let's get in here, get the trans, get to talking to John about the trans, our upgrade, and get this thing together so we can get it in the truck. All right guys, so the big changes we're making to the transmission this year is we're actually going with this Santjer Performance solid input shaft. We were running the TCS 27 spline fat shaft. That's the shaft compared to a stock one. We actually have a little twist in this. This is our original shaft. The one that came out of the trans this year didn't have any problems, but we're switching to this. So everybody, this is John Muldoon. So John, what's the big changes and benefits to this Santjer shaft?
The main thing is the whole architecture is different. It's a solid shaft. Your factory torque flight lockup tranny, the oil that keeps the converter clutch off comes through the center of the shaft, and the oil that turns the converter clutch on comes from in between the shaft and the stator. This gap here in between these splines. Matt shaft completely inverted the flow, and he uses these recesses, and he does basically there's no hole in the middle of the shaft anymore. It's actually a solid, it's to the best of my knowledge, the only solid input shaft. So it's a super strong unit. That if you compare the length, you've got a longer shaft, you've got good contact with the turbine, and I don't think any have broken yet.
Yeah, to my knowledge, nobody's broken one. I know like Derek Rose and Justin Andrews, they were running this during UCC. Another advantage of this is that there's no no cross-drilled holes where the sealing ring grooves aren't there on the factory shaft and a fat shaft.
That's your TCC off oil. If you were to blow air through this, it would come out here.
Okay.
So that keeps the converter clutch off.
From my understanding, though, that's a very high stress area, and a lot of them will snap there. But also, you have this thicker shaft, and it's longer, so you're going to get more torsional twist on there, and should be able to take a little bit more abuse. Because even on a street driving application, every time the converter locks and whatnot, you're still kind of twisting the shaft a little bit. And it's also like their own proprietary material and whatnot. Now with the difference in flow by inverting the flow for the torque converter, what's that allow it to do, John?
It gives you more. It allows for more volume to go to the release side. So a lot of trucks that are staging, a lot of guys, it's always sort of been the Achilles heel of the 47 and 48. They're staging the truck and they're making a lot of RPM. That oil evacuates, or it goes past the converter clutch, and once that occurs, your converter clutch begins to drag. Centrifugally, it wants to apply. So he's provided enough volume to ensure that clutch stays off. Make sure that the clutch isn't going to start to drag and apply, and it just pretty much ensures that you're not going to burn a converter up. Which
we have plenty of experience with on my truck, but also it allows the torque converter clutch to apply quicker as well, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, so, faster lockup time, definitely.
Now, putting this shaft in there, it is a little bit more expensive than going to a TCS 27 spine, but if you snap one of these shafts, typically you're going to have to send the converter out because the shaft's broken in it and all that.
Absolutely.
So it should help solve that problem as well. Now, John, my question, if we solve the input shaft problem, what's our next weak link in the transmission?
From here on out, I mean, the next weakest links are going to be the case. The case can break from either the band can blow out the side of the case where the adjuster is. Grab a case over here. I've seen this portion of the case can blow out. That happens a lot of times with really high line pressure. Second gear. When second gear occurs, you got this band grabs around this drum, but all the load is in the case. There's a strut that comes here. Actually, the anchor's here and the strut's here, and then this servo comes down, presses, and it clamps that, and you're basically spreading it apart.
So the case is taking all the force right there.
Case takes a lot of force. You said for this year you're going to be launching it in first gear, so we don't have to worry about the sprag as much. That's always been a known failure point. This already has a bolt-in sprag, so an automatic, it doesn't get a whole lot stronger than that. But if you're launching a manual one, you should be good to go in that regard. The only other thing, front planets can crack, strip, break. This is going to be your next fuse. Is going to be this portion here, these splines in the intermediate. I know that can fail. I personally have never had one fail, but I know it can. That's it. I mean, shafts, intermediate shaft could go. I doubt your output's going to go. You got the big 29 spline output.
We've pretty much upgraded just about everything in the trans we can. I don't know that there's really much more we can do other than go into different type of materials for stuff, and that's just about it.
No, this is stout trans. It's oversized input, billet intermediate, oversized output.
And also for another thing we forgot to say, with the Santjer converter, or Santjer shaft, we do need a different converter. So with that, you have the converter?
Yeah, it's still in its box. We haven't even opened it. I contacted Suncoast, made like a custom stall for you.
Oh, okay.
So we've been working with Suncoast now for a long time, and we use them because they're so diligent. Their product is always top notch. We never have any issues with balance. Fit and finish is great. They stand behind it. It's just their converters. It's pretty much, for the most part, it's all we use anymore. Our inexpensive like super stock tranny, we're using just a regular single disc, but if you've got a high horsepower, if you buy a trans from us, any of our Tomax through stage 4, it comes with a Suncoast converter now. So here is yours. My mom's taking these out of the boxes.
Yeah, they're not light.
Nah. I don't even know if they put our cover on it. Nah. But it's a 12 bolt.
Ooh.
Yeah, if you want a 12 bolt, you can do it up. A lot of guys spinning a lot of RPMs. God. Oh yeah, look at that. So that's, if you compare that to, you know, you can see the turbine splines. That to a typical 23 spline. We use these converters pretty much up to 1,000 horsepower.
Well, we're shooting for 2,000, John. You got anybody spinning that?
Not yet. You'll be our first.
Hopefully.
There we go. So that's just your typical 23 spline there. I don't know if you can see down in there.
Yeah, it looks a little tighter, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, this is your interface, that to that.
So, well, John, you got anything else to add about this different shaft design and all?
No, I think it's awesome. I like it. I've got one I've been waiting to put in my truck. Just been so busy, I haven't gotten around to it.
All right, guys, so that's everything about our shaft and our upgrades. John's going to throw the trans together so we can get it home, get the new converter and trans in the truck. I actually have a new tune file from Ryan Milliken at Hardway. So as you guys know, we work with Ryan with our tuning and setting up our fuel system and all that. So like John said, we have like a custom stall in our converter with what we're doing with our nitrous and all that. It's kind of what Ryan had suggested we go with. So anyway, without further ado, let's get this trans together so we can get her to the house.
like 210 locked up. Is that what you had when you actually checked it?
I don't remember honestly.
Yeah, it's about 210. And then I can go through and lock up, make sure it shifts it wide open. Yeah. Check reverse. Spark. Good?
Yeah?
Yeah, it's good. Low band. Oh, does 150 unlock. Like 210 and lock up. Yeah, man.
So as you guys can see, we are back at the house. Big shout out to the guys at Muldoon's. But we have our 48RE with our Santjer input shaft in. I'm excited to try and run this thing, see how it does with our converter lockup, because we've had converter issues in the past. What they did was most people took the stock design and tried to improve it, make it bigger, stronger, different materials. Santjer just kind of thought outside the box, came up with something new. Hopefully it performs as expected, but I'm hoping that input shaft failure worries are a thing of the past, that's for sure. Also, we got our Suncoast converter. We have a 12 bolt here. Now, we do not have the Suncoast flex plate, so we can use all 12 bolts, but what this will allow us to do is between this and our flex plate, we will have 2 sets of bolt holes we can use. Eventually we will probably upgrade to the Suncoast 12 volt flex plate, but for right now we're not going to worry about it. That would be something relatively simple to change out. But yeah, we're going to be running that with a custom stall. So with the custom stall and the converter, that comes from the guys at Hardway Performance. We've been dealing with Ryan down there on the build with our fuel system, our turbo setup, all that. It's very important to have your turbo and your stall speed on your converter aligned, if you will. You want them so they work together. You don't want to have a certain stall and then have too big of a turbo and vice versa. I'm not an expert on the subject. That's why we get these people involved. When we first built the truck, we kind of just threw parts on there and yeah, this works, that works. But the level we're trying to take the truck, we need to get industry professionals involved, because it's way above my head. It's stuff that I don't know about and they have much experience in. It's just, that's why we're trying to get all these people involved, get everybody aligned on the same page, and that way we have the best product and hopefully don't run into any hiccups along the way. So I want to end the video now. Tomorrow, hopefully we get the trans installed, but I want to end the video with a big shout out to the guys at Muldoon's. Great people to work with, great customer service. Yeah, nothing bad to say about them. Only thing I got bad about them is I see them way too often. You should not have a relationship with your trans guy that I have. Now, that being said, it's because of how the truck is used, right? So there's never been a problem with the transmission in the truck. With the level we're taking it to, we're going to try and take it to that 2,000 horsepower mark. We are going to be on the edge. So stuff's going to break. Stuff's going to wear out very quickly. So when that stuff happens, it does not mean that, hey, it was built wrong or we didn't use the right parts. it's just what happens when you put 2,000 horsepower through a transmission that the gas world long ago decided this thing's only good for 800 or 800 or 1,000 horsepower. So that's where the diesel world really needs to kind of get ahead. But once again, big shout out to the guys at Muldoon's. Fantastic experience, great people. So anyway, guys, get out in your garage, get the wrenching on your truck. I hope you're excited to see the truck get the transmission in it and move under its own power.